So welcome everyone. Tonight is CCC's project recipe evening, and for our project recipe here in August, we selected the Free Spirit recipe by Creative Memories, and this is a little bit more intricate than we normally do, so I'm going to take a few minutes to just explain a few things before we start cutting. If you are watching this recording, I recommend that you pause frequently. There are a few things that I think if you do it in the order that you would normally expect to, things might not work out. But I'm going to try to guide you through it because it really is a fun recipe and uses a lot of the tools and techniques. It was created by Megan Jacks, and she loves to do a lot of things that take us just a little bit out of our comfort zone, but encourage us to grow as scrapbookers. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe tonight. So I'm Kari, and I am here with Cheryl and Colleen, and we make up the Consistently Creative crew. And we get together every Wednesday night and do something either scrapbooking related or photo related. And we hope you enjoy this recipe tonight. So here is the sample of the Free Spirit project recipe. And you can see, looking at their sample layout that's on the recipe that Creative Memories provides, there's a lot of things going on. And so it's a little bit easier if you look at their sketch just below the sample page. And you can see that they basically have three different colors of papers going on. They have this yellow paper, and they have a blue paper, and they have a green paper. And what they're doing is they have some angled cuts here that are at 45 degrees, and we'll work through those. We have some circles and half circles, and we have a punched border. And the sample that they used has some paper behind the punched border, so you can actually see the color behind those little punch out sections. So a couple of things to kind of select as you're getting ready to do this one. What punched border are you going to use? What might look good behind it? And make certain you have all of your tools available. So speaking of tools, you are going to need your custom cutting system. We're going to end up using the large and the small circle template and the red and the blue cutters. We need our border maker cartridge with whatever border punch you might want to use. And we also need our trimmer. And I'm going to encourage you to use some repositionable adhesive for some of this, because obviously when we're going behind this punch, we're going to want to use it aligning some of these angles and circles. You might need to use it also, but I think it's a pretty fun layout. So let me show you the advisor guide. So the 4 sheets of paper that they recommend if you're using the Free Spirit Designer paper pack are these 4 here. There's some like ombre colored papers that they used as their base, and then they use this one with the waves, and then they use this other darker one, and they used a dark sea green cardstock. And they use that dark sea green cardstock with all of their suggested paper pairings, but they've got some here that are a little bit more purple for the base and some that are more orange for the base. And I think any of those that you select will work out really nicely. And again, this is all the tools that you are going to need: your trimmer, your border maker system. Their sample used this blooming lace chain BMC, and you can see that it was a chain punch. I used a knockout punch for my sample. I'm actually going to use a knockout punch tonight, so you can adapt it to whatever you need. You also want your cutting mat, your custom cutting circle patterns, and your blade cartridges. And like I mentioned, repositionable tape is a great idea. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then we'll go over to my table. So here's the sample layout that I did. And there's a number of places where the recipe calls for you to reverse the paper, which I did not do, but I will point those out as we go along. There's also a few places where you want to pay attention to what the reverse side of the paper really is and the orientation of your paper. So the first place is with designer paper number 1, you're going to use it, which is the shell paper that I have and this green half circle that's there. That designer paper really does need to have a decent contrast. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see everything between those two papers. The designer paper 1 is the one that you really want to have a good contrast. The other thing about designer paper number 1 is I would recommend not doing anything that's directional, because you're going to have some pieces that are running horizontal, but once you start dealing with this circle and you're putting it on an angle, you don't want like words maybe going into a strange direction or something like that. So thinking about directionality could be really helpful with paper number 1. Paper number 2 is what I have here for this orange brown color. And again, directionality is going to be a potential issue because we have some strips that are running vertically and we have some pieces that are running horizontally. You can definitely reverse things for there, but just a caution about thinking about what you're going to do with that. The third paper is a piece of cardstock, so that obviously it doesn't matter what direction it's running. And your bases, you can choose whatever you want. I used Island Waters on my sample. You don't see a ton of it, so if you don't want to use some designer paper for the base, you don't have to do that. So that's everything about my layout. There's a number of things on the instructions that we'll kind of go over as we're working on it. But does anybody here have any questions while I'm shifting my things over and getting everything together? All right. It's a quiet bunch, or I've already answered all the questions, which is awesome. So I am using Fur Baby Dogs that came out as a refresh. So Fur Baby Dogs that came out. And so my bases are going to be this light blue. My paper number 1, it does have words on it, and so I'm going to be careful about it, but the reverse has a nice contrast to it, and I don't have to worry about the orientation and direction of the other side. So I'm going to pay attention to my orientation as I cut this paper. This is my second paper, and again, it has a decent contrast, and I'll be able to choose whichever side I want. My third paper is Hot Fudge. And I think that was everything. Except I think I only have 1 sheet of my light blue paper, and I'm going to need 2. So I am going to grab that before I get started. It's amazing that I can find things here. Okay, because I just recently moved. All right. So I am not going to cut the papers quite in the order that they have them here, and I'll explain that as I go. But I am going to start with paper number 1, designer paper number 1. I think it's the hardest one, but I think once we do it, it'll be just fine. So for this one, you'll want your trimmer, and you're going to want a pencil. So with my paper here, this is the one that was these shells that are going across my page like this. So I want to be sure that when I cut it, that I'm going to end up having the words be readable. So this is the orientation. I'm going to start cutting it so I can actually read the words normally right now. So the first cut, you're going to trim off 2 inches off of the side, which is not on your instructions. So it doesn't matter which side you're going to trim that off of, but I'm going to trim off 2 inches off the side. And this 2 inches is scrap, so you don't really need it. Then I'm going to rotate the paper and I'm going to cut it in half, so that's at 6 inches. Now here is where you're going to want your pencil. So what we're going to want to do is, if you can see my recipe, we're going to make a mark along the top at 4 inches because we're going to cut from that mark down to the bottom corner. So I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to just line it up on my trimmer, and I'm going to make a mark at 4 inches. And then you're going to align that mark and the tip of the paper so that it is resting on your cutting guide. So I've got my mark up here. I've got the corner of the paper right here. And hopefully everybody can kind of see what I'm doing so that you know what I'm talking about. So I measured 4 inches over from the top left corner. I'm going to cut from that mark down to the bottom right corner.
So you measured the 4 inches based on the long side, right?
Based on the long side. Yep, the top long side. So from the top left corner. And you're going to set the triangle aside just for a little bit. We're going to deal with that in a moment. And you should be left with it's like a trapezoidal piece left. I don't know what else to call it, but this piece is going to end up going on the page in the way that it is right now. So now the other part, we're going to do the same thing, but only we're going to measure the 4 inches over from the bottom right corner. So to do this well, I'm going to go ahead and here. Okay. So marking over from the bottom right corner of the other piece, because now we're going to rotate it like this to lop off this other triangle. So it's 4 inches from the lower right corner. And then you're going to cut from your mark on the bottom to the upper left. And you're going to set aside that triangle. And now you have this piece. So this is what you should have ended up with. You should end up with 2 pieces that are like this and 2 triangles. And this is the worst of the whole layout. Everybody okay? Anyone not okay? All right. All right. I am going to wait to do the circle for these 2 triangles. So you're going to keep those triangles kind of handy. We will do them in a few minutes. I'm going to move to the 3rd paper. I'm skipping intentionally the 2nd paper. So we're going to do the 3rd paper. The 3rd paper is a piece of cardstock, and this is one that you're going to punch. So we're going to go ahead and whatever punch you've chosen, you're going to do 2 of those. In my sample, I did footprints, and in my one for the night, I'm going to do some footprints. So use whatever border maker you're going to use. And I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 punches now. And if you are using a chain style, you won't have to trim. If you're using a knockout style punch, you're going to end up having to trim this. So just adapt it however you need. I'm gonna just do them on each side and then I'll put them. And I don't need them anymore, but I'm going to get rid of my scraps. And then I'm just going to trim this off. And I'm trimming it relatively close.
Joyce is hopping on.
And once you have those border strips, I'm just going to set them aside. We are going to take a quick look at them again in a bit, but I want to trim the rest of this paper. So the next thing you're going to need with this paper is you're going to cut a piece at 4 inches. Then you're going to rotate that 4-inch strip and cut it at 5 inches 2 cuts. And the 4x5 photo mats are going to be photo mats. The extra little piece is going to be scrap. Everybody okay? All right. Want to make certain everybody's with me so far. Anybody having any issues? All right. So now I want to cut all of our circles at the same time, which is kind of why I did some of this in this order. So we need to get 2 4.5-inch circles out of our piece of cardstock. And that's using the small circle with the blue blade on the outside. So that is what we're going to do first. We're going to do 2 of these. So again, it's a 4.5-inch circle. You're going to want to use the outside of the small circle with the blue blade. And this is all you need to do with this paper. So you don't have to be extremely careful unless you want to save some of it for something else later on. I'm going to choose these. And I always like to make certain that I can wiggle the extra piece around it to make certain that I've gotten a good cut before I move the template. The cutting, so the second circle. All right. I think I need to go down around this side again. There we go. Okay, so I cut 2 circles there. So that again was the small circle blue blade on the outside. Now the other circle that we're going to cut is going to be out of these triangle pieces. So what I recommend is that you use a little bit of repositionable tape to adhere these to your mat, because what we want in total is one big circle out of these 2 pieces. And if you're going to try to do them individually, it was really awkward and kind of challenging. So I found it very easy to just use a little bit of repositionable on the back. And you don't have to use much because it's not going to move that much once you've got pressure on it. But I found this to be a really easy way to cut the circle that we need. Now, it's a big circle. So it is the large circle and it is the red blade and it's on the outside. So it is really very tight. And if you look at your guide to try to see that you've got it centered, and honestly, your corners and edges are not going to matter so terribly much. So if you don't end up getting a perfect cut of the circle around here, it's not really going to matter. So try to put your pieces, kind of as close together as you can, and put your large circle template around it. Use your red blade, and then hopefully we'll get a decent cut. And again, if it ends up not being perfect at one of the corners, it's okay. No one's ever going to know. Okay. So that's those two pieces. You can set them aside. You've cut your circle in half, or you've got your circle that's cut in half, and then these extra pieces are actually going to be trash. All right. So that's two of our papers cut. And you're done with your custom cutting system. And we are ready to take a look at our trimmer. How are we doing? Very quiet. Okay, so we're ready to cut designer paper number 2. And this is something that I wanted to just have you note, depending on what punch you used. In order to get paper that shows behind it, you might need a width of papers G and H that's bigger than 3/4 of an inch. You might be just fine, but since I did a knockout border, I actually needed a little bit wider than 3/4 of an inch. So I wanted you to be able to take a note of that before we trimmed paper number 2, which is why I had us do paper number 3 first. And the nice thing about the way this paper gets cut is that papers E and F, they get covered up partially. So it is not going to matter. It's not going to detract from your layout because you're actually going to layer some of this paper on top of them. So if you have to make G and H a little wider, that's okay. If you can get away with the 3/4 of an inch, you're just fine. So, but I wanted you to be able to see that before we trimmed the paper. So I need to do mine a little bit wider. So I am going to hopefully tell you the instructions that are on the page, but I'm going to cut mine just a little bit differently. So the first piece, according to the instructions, is going to be at 1 1/4 inches. And you're going to do 2 of those. And yes, I'm cutting mine a little bit narrower. And then G and H are at 3/4 of an inch. And again, if you needed to make an adaptation because of your punch, here's where you would do it. So you should end up with 4 strips, 2 that are possibly narrower than the other. Now you're going to want to rotate your paper and cut it at 6.5 inches.
Is it 2 at 3/4 of an inch? I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes, 2 at 1 1/4 and 2 at 3/4 if the 3/4 will fit behind your punch. Then the remaining piece, you're going to want to rotate it and cut it at 6.5 inches. And then that 6.5 inch piece, you're going to end up cutting it in half, which is actually at 4. You have 2 pieces that are 4 by 6.5. Then your remaining piece should already be 5.5 in one direction, and you're going to make it 5.5 in another. So you're making it a square. The piece that's not part of the square is actually scrap. And this 5.5 inch square, you're going to cut on diagonally from corner to corner. And now all the cutting is done.
Well, your name would come up at all.
No, I'm listening to following Cheryl.
So what?
Right, so I am just going to clear off a few things off of my workspace. And there's a lot of measurements on this one, so I'm going to just do the right or the left page for the moment. And then I'll point out what you need to do for the other side. So I'm just dry fitting this. Basically, one piece goes on one page, the other piece goes on the other page. All right. So in essence, this is what the left page is going to look like. So you're going to put the big rectangle that we cut the one side off at a 45-degree angle. She put this at 5/8 of an inch above the bottom edge and having the point all the way on the right edge. Then she lined up the half circle, the reverse side of the half circle, and it touches that big rectangle that has the one angled side cut off of it. So it touches the bottom of that and the 45-degree angle. Then our triangle that we just cut in half, whichever side is going to work for you, you're going to actually line that up so it's about centered in that space. So this is what I've got. And then you have this cardstock mat, which is centered kind of over that half circle, so you can kind of see it. Then in the top half, we've got a rectangle photo mat, which she takes 5/8 of an inch from the top edge. And she aligns the left edge so it lines up nicely with your bottom piece. Then your photo mat that you just cut out of cardstock is the thing that she rotates. So she has that near the edge. Then she has your one border strip, which is 1/2 inch from the edge. And then your punch, once you put the other piece behind it, is 1¼ inches from the edge like this. So it kind of goes over the seam on that side. And the other side is a mirror image, but it's the top and the bottom are flipped. So the measurements again are 5/8 of an inch from the top and the bottom. The border strip is 1/2 inch, and then your punch is 1¼ inches from the left-hand side. And the right-hand page is very similar. I'm just going to put mine right on top. Again, we're 5/8 of an inch from the top, and the point goes to the edge. Center this. Our half circle top touches the top edge, like that. And then I circle there. And then my borders. Half an inch and 1¼ inch. So I think we'll pause the recording, have everybody get a chance to kind of lay things out and put things down. Before we do that, any questions? Right. So we are wrapping up here, and I wanted to just share my layout again now that it's assembled. I think it's a fun layout. It has a few intricacies to kind of work your way through, but I think it's very doable. And I'm looking forward to getting some pictures printed out for it. I just did not have that time for that. And here is my original sample layout with the Ocean Treasures Advisor Kit. I really like this paper, so I hope you enjoyed that. And I think we're going to go around and see some of the other layouts that people have. So I'm going to remove my spotlight here. And here's Cheryl's. Oh, look at that cutie.
Oh,
Oh, cute.
I know exactly what pictures are gonna go right there. I just didn't get them
Aw.
printed.
Perfect.
Oh, very
Uh,
nice. Very nice.
Very cute.
I like the purple with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's blue. My lighting in here, it's very blue.
Well, whatever it
I
is,
can
it
tell
looks
it's
nice.
blue.
Yeah,
My
looks like-
lighting is bad.
It actually looks like it's purple behind the paw prints.
Oh, it's
just-
red.
But it's
Oh,
red. I
wow.
know you showed us the
Yeah.
paper earlier, but it does look purplish in the.
My lighting is very weird.
That's okay. That's okay. It all works. It's
Call
all
it
good.
Merlot.
Yeah, there you go. Karen, do you want to hold up yours?
Sure. So, can y'all see it?
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
I like that
Yes.
I like the
Oh, and I like
pattern.
the punch. Yeah.
And
Very
then this
nice.
is the second page.
Oh, yeah.
Cute.
Nice.
You said
like
you
how
had
you tipped it.
problems with the rectangle cutting thing. It looks great.
Well, thank you. I ended up having to trim some on the
Oh.
side, but
That's okay.
okay.
That's okay. Ola, let's see yours.
Okay.
And then we'll do Macinda's.
I'm still bringing it up if you want to go to somebody else first.
Okay.
Slow down a
Lucinda?
bit here.
Sure.
Kari, where did you get the bare feet and the paw prints?
Those are really old Sam punches. Oh, that
Oh,
looks
thanks.
really nice.
Oh, that's
That is
great.
awesome.
Beautiful.
Really
Mhm.
good colors.
you.
Yes.
Thanks.
And I
That's
like the extra
gorgeous.
circle. It looks like you have an extra circle
I
with that
did. I
line.
inserted a shape
Nice.
and
Very
made it
nice.
transparent with a stroke.
Beautiful
Look-
layout.
look-
Wow.
Blah. Thank you.
Look at how fancy you are. That's awesome. And I
Thank
loved
you.
your letters too.
That was a
Ola?
shape.
Yep, it's
Nice.
coming.
All right.
Those were shape cutters I used. I thought they'd be fun.
Oh,
I was going to cut them out, but I didn't know how to cut them out of the
nice.
paper, so I forgot.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Oh, Ola, that looks nice. I like your paper.
Oh, nice.
It's a little
It turned
dark,
out
but
really good.
It's
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
with it
It's
though.
okay.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Look at all those photos you got on there.
Mm-hmm.
I like the extra photos that you got and that you got them to fit. Nice.
good. Thanks.
Very nice. Okay. Lynn, I think you're next.
Oh, I
Oh,
love it.
wow.
Bandcamp.
That's
Oh, I
great.
like that.
No, it's not. That's from
Music
your.
memories. Nice. Music under the stars.
Oh, very nice.
Very
That's
nice.
great.
And you've got all these extra pictures too. You fit in two and nice.
Yeah, because
She
of the
cut her
size
letters
of the
out.
pictures. I mean, they were landscape, not portraits.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. That's why I did it. Yep.
yeah.
But it works.
And then I did a cutout of the letters.
Yeah, I can't remember how to do that. That's what I was trying to do. Didn't work.
No,
It
but yours looks
is,
stunning.
cut text.
That's Very why. nice. Okay.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Okay, and I'll share mine. I should have probably worked on it earlier because I don't know that I'm quite done, but it's
Oh,
close.
That's
Nice.
great.
those colors are
Pretty.
so pretty with those pictures.
Oh,
They
thanks.
sure are. Yes.
Very nice. Yeah. Those are it's beautiful, Kari.
All right, thanks. All right, I will go back to my table.
Not everyone.
Yes, everybody, I am thoroughly impressed. We're still got a few minutes before the hour and everybody's kind of done. And it was such a challenging
Oh,
layout. I think everybody did a great job. And we'd love to see whatever you created. So there is an album on our Consistently Creative Croppers Facebook group. And you can share a photo there because we'd love to see your pages. I'd love to have the chance to look at them in a little bit more detail. So be sure to share them there. And next week, we'll be doing the Your Own Way Simple Page Kit number 8 for August. And it's another nice one. So we will see people back here in a week. So everybody have a great week. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you for watching. And if you're watching on YouTube and you drop a comment, we'd love to see it because that helps boost our views and has it get people can see all of our recordings. So thank you so much, everyone.
thanks,
Thank
Kari.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.